All right, Lisa, from the NFL to the college game, got SportsCenter anchor and ESPN Chalk contributor Doug Kazarian here with us, and we call him Mr. Vegas around campus. There's a good reason for that. I do want to ask you about this one from the jump, Doug, because it was a little curious on a tweet from Lane Kiffin following Florida Atlantic's win, where it was clear that he was aware of the point spread, but also made a joke about it. What was the buzz around what he said here?
Well, the buzz is that you have a head coach of a college sports team tweeting about a point spread. That's just unprecedented. But if you break it down, he's retweeting the fact that FAU did not cover because of his decision the final few seconds.
Yes.
And he had the jab about the rat poison. That was a jab towards Nick Saban.
Right.
Putting that aside, because that's nothing new, you have a head coach talking about a point spread on Twitter, which is remarkable. He later apologized, but here's the play. They're up 7 with just about 14 seconds to go, so you run out of your own end zone without the risk of a blocked punt or a touchdown.
Right.
Football-wise, it's certainly defensible, and then you don't have the potential mistake and fluke tie and then overtime. So football-wise, it makes sense. And then he said he had no idea about the point spread until he got home, saw the tweet, and then he has since apologized in case anyone was worried about any funny business. So that's the whole thing. No suspensions coming, according to everyone covering the story. But it is remarkable in the sports betting community that you have a head football coach. You've heard comments here and there, but to do an actual tweet about it was pretty unprecedented.
Well, speaking of point spreads, we had, 7 games last weekend with two teams that were ranked. Going to have a handful of them again this weekend. Is there one particular spread earlier here in the week that sort of stands out?
Absolutely. Look, there seems to be a divide amongst odds makers about who should be favored. Georgia at Auburn.
Yeah.
Last week, as we know, we've talked about in the past, Westgate does look-ahead lines or games of the year where you can bet point spreads down the road of rivalry games. Auburn was a 2.5-point favorite a week ago. Both take care of business this past weekend, but the Wynn Hotel opened up Georgia as a 2.5-point favorite. I talked to the head odds maker at the Westgate. He still thinks Auburn should be favored by about a field goal, so it's surprising that Georgia is now favored on the road this weekend at Auburn. So, 2.5 to 2.5, not a huge difference, but there seems to be a divide right now amongst odds makers about who should be favored, but they got to follow the market. So it looks like Georgia right now will be consensus 2.5-point road favorite.
And of Georgia, of course, number 1 in the first installment of college football rankings. We have installment number 2 coming up here in a couple of days. Doug Kazarian, appreciate the time, man.
You got it.
Hey, tomorrow night, 10 o'clock Eastern, we got a premiere of our